Hello, dear friends. It is really a great pleasure and an honor for me to be sharing a few thoughts with you today. First of all, I really want to acknowledge the deep gratitude and admiration that I have for all of you teachers and headmasters and educationists who have gathered together with our dear friends Christiane, Andreas, Mona, to explore the well-being of teachers and students alike. And I am aware that you are really in the front line of a battle, if I may say so, that is raging in the whole world. Of course, you are experiencing it in the most direct way because you are in the Ukraine, and the Ukraine is unfortunately experiencing this terrible war, this terrible violence, this terrible injustice that has been that you've been submitted to. But in a way, what you are experiencing in the Ukraine is like the tip of the iceberg of a challenge that we are confronting as a humankind, and that is much broader than what is happening in a specific country. We are, as a humankind, on a crossroad, and the crossroad is about to determine the choices for the future generation, and really for the future of humankind. The question is, will we let old ways prevail that are based on force, on brute power, on tyranny, on domination, on exclusion, on fanaticism, on violence? Or are we as a humankind going to go in a new direction towards a society based on care and kindness, inclusion and compassion, where everybody can find their place in the big family of humankind, no one being included for no reason whatsoever, being it religion, nationality, ethnicity, gender, disability, or whatever difference? Can we create together a truly inclusive society, a truly inclusive world? And we see that the old ways have led to a situation that is no longer sustainable. And the terrible experience that you are having in Ukraine is a kind of the most visible part of a worldwide difficulty. Can we learn to let go of old ways that are not carrying us in the future anymore? Or do we cling through violence and power to old ways of functioning that are destroying both our planet, our society, and the people? And obviously, education is at the forefront of this question, because the way we educate our children is determining the way society will be in the future. And so old ways of education were centered on transmission of knowledge from the past in order to pass exams. Of course, some of it will always remain, but definitely this cannot be the center of what education is about. A next step is to see that education has to be centered on the learners, on the students, to be able to meet their specific capabilities and also disabilities, and to allow for each one to develop and flourish as well as possible. But I think there's even a third level that we need to take into consideration, that we are educating our children for a future that we don't know yet. Most of the children that we have in our classes will have jobs one day that don't even exist yet. So it's not educating for the competencies of the past, but helping them develop their full potential so that they can meet the challenges of the future. And our deep conviction in the Happy School movement is that there is something universally human that we can build on in order to help children to do that. And the whole concept of Happy School is developed on this deep understanding of the deepest needs of human nature. And actually, these needs are the same for the teachers, for the parents, and for the children. This is the reason why teachers have to learn to embody these qualities so that the children can learn not only from what the teachers are saying or explaining, but through the way the teachers can embody these qualities. And these qualities are really threefold. The first one is, as teachers, as human beings really, we need to learn how to take care of ourselves and how to live in harmony with ourselves, which means living in harmony with our deepest aspiration, with our highest potential, to really have the courage to go deeply inward and develop deep self-knowledge, because self-knowledge is the foundation for self-transformation. And this self-transformation that includes not only our cognitive dimension, but also our emotional dimensions, our spiritual dimension. This self-knowledge and self-transformation is what can give us the strong foundation, especially in challenging times. Therefore, for teachers to learn how to take good care of themselves, and this is not at all an egoistic endeavor, it is really a fundamental need. And we know from many research that the more the teachers are in harmony with themselves, the more they are able to teach the children and create an environment when children can thrive and unfold and develop their full potential. And the second dimension is learning to live together, learning to take care of one another, learning to take care of society, learning to live in harmony with one another. And the violence that we see in the world, the wars, the conflicts, the discrimination, the segregation, the exclusion, is a very painful reminder that as a humankind we have not yet mastered the art of living in harmony together. Although we all know that friendship and love, deep relationships based on trust and respect, are the most fundamental component of a happy life for ourselves, for our families, for our class, for our schools, for our society. Yet, for some reason, we don't put enough emphasis on really taking the time to consciously nurture and develop and cultivate those inner qualities, those social skills that allow us to live in harmony with one another. So the second very fundamental dimension that we want to explore and develop and practice is living in harmony and knowing to take care of one another. And also there we have a lot of scientific research evidence that shows that there's a direct correlation between the quality of the relationship between students and teachers, between teachers and teachers, between teachers and parents, between students and students, and the success of education. So putting a strong emphasis on cultivating these human relational qualities is something that has a tremendous impact on benefiting the overall educational system. And thirdly, learning to live in harmony with and caring for nature is something that has become more and more important when we see the ecological crisis, the challenges that we are facing with climate change and all the other ecological problems that we are facing as a humankind. And it's hard to understand how we as a humankind continue to destroy nature, to destroy our planet. And obviously wars are one of the big source of destruction of the planet, of nature, because not only people are suffering, of course people are suffering and it is the most terrible, but all the sentient beings are suffering, all life forms are suffering. Plants and animals and rivers and mountains and oceans, all are suffering when we are in a situation of conflict. So there again, if we as human beings, as teachers, as students, meaning future citizens, learn consciously to live in harmony with nature, to respect all life forms, then we create the best possible foundation for a happy society of tomorrow. Lastly, I would like to share with you that the Happy School movement started in Vietnam. And as you probably all know, Vietnam has suffered many decades of war. And it is an interesting coincidence that yesterday, the 30th of April 2025, was the 50th anniversary of the reunification of Vietnam and the end of the war. And the Vietnamese state has three slogans. The first one is independence, the second one is freedom, and the third one is happiness. And when we work with our teachers and students in Vietnam, we remind them that past generations have made tremendous sacrifices in order to ensure that their country would be independent and free. And I'm aware that Ukraine is now in a situation where many of you and many people in your country are doing tremendous sacrifices in order to maintain the freedom and the independence of your homeland. And we can empathize with it because in Vietnam, this happened over decades at a very high cost. Almost 5 million people died in Vietnam during the war. But even the worst situation have an end. And I would like you also to be confident that even though the war that you are facing seems endless and the end doesn't seem that near, also that will pass. And therefore, it is more important than ever for you to already start preparing what will happen afterwards. Because if we don't change radically the way we operate, then the same causes will create the same consequences, and there is a lot of danger that similar situation will reappear. Now, I was mentioning that Vietnam has these three words: independence, freedom, and happiness. And now what we are focusing on in Vietnam with the Happy School movement is precisely this dimension of happiness. And it might seem that when we are facing very big challenges like you are, is it not a bit too superficial to speak about happiness when for many it's really about surviving. It's about how to get through a life that is increasingly difficult. But I think specifically in the most difficult times, we need to find the deepest resources within ourselves and together as a group, as a community, as a society, as a school, to put our focus on happiness and well-being. Because this is exactly what will help us to generate the resilience that we need to be able to face these great challenges and to prepare for a better tomorrow. And so in Vietnam, we have been working now since quite a number of years. We have been in Vietnam since 25 years with our foundation, and the Happy School has gradually evolved from the work we've been doing with Eurasia Foundation. And I'm very happy to report that the Ministry of Education has realized that this focus on happiness and well-being of teachers and students is not a kind of a luxury, is not something that is nice to have if all the important things have been done, like passing exam with great notes, grades and things like that. But at actually putting happiness and well-being at the core of the educational system is exactly what we need to rebuild the country and to move forward. So once again, I would like to really honor your efforts, your courageous engagement, your dedication, and I really hope that we can also create bridges between Happy School in Ukraine, Happy School in Vietnam, and Happy School Internationals, because now more and more teachers all over the world realize the importance of putting happiness and well-being at the center of their profession. So in this sense, I would like to send you my very warm greetings, my best wishes, and it is my hope that one day we will be able to meet face to face. Once again, thank you very much, and I wish you a wonderful training program.